House Piper of Pinkmaiden is counted among the most important noble families of the Riverlands. Their seat, Pinkmaiden Castle, stands along the Red Fork, near the border with the Westerlands, placing them in a strategic position between two regions, often touched by war. It is most likely the castle was raised there to protect the Riverlands from incursions from the Lannister kings in the west. Their sigil depicts a pink maiden dancing in a flowing white silk upon a field of blue. Though their house words are not recounted in known histories, some sources attribute their motto to brave and beautiful. Members of House Piper are often noted for their red hair and shorter, slight build. Sadly, we know little about the early history of House Piper, but given we have not got records of it, suggests they have never been kings in their own right at any stage. It would seem that in various stages, when the Riverlands were united under one single king, they would have been under the dominion of houses such as the Mudds, Justmans, and the Hoars. During Aegon's conquest, the Pipers joined Aegon, alongside most of the other Riverlords, in rising up against the tyrannical Harren the Black, whose rule of the Riverlands had been particularly brutal. A lady Melony Piper was a close companion and favourite of the young Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen. She was the sister of Lord Jon Piper, and had at least two other brothers. When Prince Aegon the Uncrowned rose up against King Maegor the Cruel, who had usurped the throne from him, the forces of Aegon and Rhaenyra gathered at Pinkmaiden Castle, the seat of Melony's brother. During the progress of Prince Aegon and Princess Rhaenyra through the Westerlands, Melony Piper came to Lannisport with her brothers to swear House Piper's loyalty. It is widely believed that when Prince Aegon rose against King Maegor, Lord Jon Piper joined the cause in no small part due to his sister's influence, as a close friend of the princess, now queen. When war came, Melony took to the field herself. Clad in a man's mail and armed with a spear, she led the Piper levies into battle against Maegor's forces. She met her end at the battle beneath the God's Eye in 43 AC, slain alongside three of her brothers. Despite the death of Melony and her brothers, it seems that Rhaenyra Targaryen would stay for a while at Pinkmaiden in 51 AC, suggesting her relationship, despite the deaths, was still strong with House Piper. I swore her my sword. I'm older now, but not so old that I've forgotten the words I said. And it happens, I still have the sword. Petyr Piper on his oath to Rhaenyra Targaryen. Fire and blood, the dying of the dragons, a son for a son. In 105 AC, Lord Petyr Piper declared his loyalty to Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen, swearing to uphold her claim to the Iron Throne as the chosen heir of King Viserys I Targaryen. When the Dance of the Dragons began in 129 AC, he honoured that oath and stood firmly with the Black faction. At the Battle of the Red Fork, Petyr fought alongside Lord Tristan Vance against the host of Westermen, led by Lord Jason Lannister of Casterly Rock. While they were unable to stop the Lannister forces crossing the Red Fork, the Lannisters sustained heavy key losses. In the aftermath, he knighted a squire named Pate of Longleaf, who had slain Lord Jason in the fighting, granting him the name Longleaf the Lion Slayer. Lord Petyr later met his end at Acorn Hall, battling the invading Westermen once again. According to the court fool Mushroom, he died of a burst heart upon seeing the head of his favourite grandson displayed on a pike. After his death, he was succeeded by Lord Stanton Piper. A daughter of House Piper became the third wife of Lord Quillian Greyjoy, strengthening ties between the Riverlands and the Iron Islands. She bore him a son, Robin. Her time at Pike was marked by tragic choices. When her stepson, Aegon Greyjoy, lost part of his hand in the finger dance, she ordered the maesters to try and sew the fingers back on, rather than allow the Ironborn custom of sealing the wound with fire and seawater. The attempt failed, the wound festered, and Aegon died of infection. She herself did not long live after, dying in childbirth. He was a swaggering bantam rooster of a youth, too young and too hot-blooded for Ned's taste, the fast friend of Catelyn's brother Edmure. The thoughts of Eddard Stark on Ser Marq Piper. During the War of the Five Kings, Edmure Tully commands Lord Clement Piper and Lord Vance to guard the pass below the Golden Tooth when the Lannisters begin massing troops there. The two lords are accompanied by their eldest sons and heirs, Ser Marq Piper and Sir Carl Vance. Lord Clement is said to be short, fat, bow-legged, with red hair that's bushy and wild. His younger son, Lewis, resembles him. Lord Piper believes himself to be an honest and honourable man, and Sir Jaime Lannister considers him to be bold and not easily cowed. His heir, Ser Marq, is short and runty, according to Sir Davin Lannister, a swaggering and overly confident young knight. Lord Eddard Stark and Lady Catelyn Stark, formerly Tully, considers Marq to be a hot-headed man and brash. While the Pipers and Vances hold the pass, their lands are ravaged by Sir Gregor Clegane, including the village of Shearer. In response, House Tully sends Ser Marq and Sir Carl, as well as Sir Raymond Darry, to King's Landing, with survivors of the attack seek justice from King Robert Baratheon. Marq swears that Gregor himself led the raids, violating the king's peace, and asks leave to take vengeance. Instead, Eddard Stark, Hand of the King, chooses justice over vengeance and dispatches Lord Beric Dondarrion, accompanied by Raymond Darry, to bring Clegane to account. Meanwhile, Sir Jaime Lannister descends upon the Riverlords in the hills below the Golden Tooth and smashes their army. Lord Vance is slain, and Lord Clement Piper is driven into a retreat, falling back to the Tully-hosted river run, with Jaime close in pursuit. The Riverlords subsequently are defeated beneath Riverrun's walls, and in the aftermath, Sir Gregor burns Pinkmaiden Castle, devastating House Piper's ancient seat. Following their father's defeats, Ser Marq Piper and Sir Carl Vance take to the field with a small force of roughly 50 men, launching raids across the Red Fork of the Trident into the Westerlands. Their attacks disrupt Lannister supply lines and hamper Jaime Lannister's siege of Riverrun. The continued losses of Lannister outriders is attributed to their efforts, masking the approach of Robb Stark's host as they come south. They continue their raiding campaign until Robb Stark arrives to break the siege with his victories in the Whispering Wood and the Battle of the Camps. In the aftermath, Marq attends Robb's war council at Riverrun, where he urges a direct march on Casterly Rock and an alliance with Renly Baratheon. Instead, Robb is proclaimed king in the north by the assembled Northmen and Riverlords. By the time I could return to my own lands, Clegane and his vermin were back across the Red Fork, riding for the Lannister hills. And if they come again, sir, we'll use their blood to water the fields they burned. Raymond Darry, Peter Baelish, and Ser Marq Piper, A Game of Thrones Chapter 43, Eddard 11. At the insistence of Edmure Tully, Robb Stark grants the Riverlords leave to return to their lands to defend the domains and rebuild their damaged seats. Ser Marq Piper is among the first to depart Riverrun, leading his men back to his worn-torn home, where he wins several small victories against Lannister forces. He would later command House Piper during the Battle of the Fords. During this time, Edmure, with his father Hoster dying and his sister Catelyn under house arrest, spends much of his time in the company of his companions, including Marq Piper and Patrick Mallister. Marq is also one of the 7 nobles who sets Hoster's funeral boat afire. When Edmure journeys to his wedding to Roslyn Frey, Marq rides with him, alongside other Riverlords, bringing a retinue that includes several knightly kingsmen and men-at-arms. At the Twins, he partakes in Walder Frey's bread and salt, securing guest rights. During the wedding feast, Marq drinks and jests with members of House Frey and takes part in the bedding ceremony, but the celebration turns to treachery when the Freys and Boltons betray their guests. Robb Stark is slain, and many of his followers, including Marq, are captured. In the aftermath of the Red Wedding, a Piper bowman sworn to Marq, mortally wounded during the massacre, is encountered in the Riverlands by Arya Stark and Sandor Clegane, where they grant him the gift of a merciful death. With his heir taken captive, Lord Clement Piper sends envoys under a peace banner to King's Landing to bend the knee to the Iron Throne. Even so, after the Red Wedding, Ser Marq is held hostage by House Frey at the Twins, much to the distress of his father, Lord Clement believing that his submission to the Iron Throne would secure his son's release, but Marq is not returned, deepening his anger towards the Freys. Meanwhile, Clement's younger son, Lewis Piper, is taken as a squire and hostage by Sir Jaime Lannister to ensure his father's loyalty. As Jaime campaigns in the Riverlands, he grows fond of the boy and hopes Clement will remain true for his son's sake. Lord Clement is among the reluctant Riverlords compelled to join the Lannister-led siege of Riverrun. Alongside the Vances, he attends war councils where tensions with the Freys run high. At one such council, angrily demands the return of his son and an accounting for the fate of the men who accompanied Marq to the twins. When Edwin Frey dismisses them as traitors, Clement threatens him openly, forcing Sir Walder Rivers to intervene before violence erupts. Jaime Lannister, however, restores order, though Clement storms out and Jaime pointedly remarks on Frey treachery. As the Riverrun surrenders, Jaime informs Edwin Frey that King Tommen Baratheon has commanded all captives taken at the Red Wedding be handed over, a decree that displeases the Freys. Jaime also grants Lord Clement leave to return to his lands, and promises that his kin will eventually be ransomed back.